So I caught a channel. I gotta find it again. But I was really like talking about trusting your intuition. And I was saying that there are always going to be programs. This is why like movies like The Matrix are so important, right? And it's like the main one any conscious spiritual person is probably going to tell you to watch. But like there are agents, right? Like Mr. Smith. There are people out there that will constantly try to test you, constantly try to convince you that there is another way to live that is better than your own. There's always going to be that program, that person, that place, that thing that's going to try to convince you to live in the way that they see reality, right? There's always going to be that program that's like just trying to influence you towards not trusting your intuition. It's going to keep trying to convince you. Some of those people in your life are more annoying than others. Some of them are more persistent. But some of them, you know, they might just try you or try to challenge you, challenge your intuition, challenge and it's really like about your intuition, because your intuition is that guiding force. When you trust that, when you say, this is how I feel, this is what I want, this is what I'm gonna go after, regardless of what anybody says, thinks, or believes, that's you and your intuition. Nobody can take that away from you. So there's always going to be somebody who tries to who tries to take you off of that path. And it's not just like, you know, them trying to influence you to make another decision or do this or do that or whatever. All of that derives from the soul. All right. I think I'll be able to stitch these two videos together. My phone started to overheat. But, you know, when people try to implant thoughts in your mind, when they try to influence you, you know, I think you should take this route instead of that route. I think you should, you know, do this instead of that. I think you should, you know, take this job instead of that job or whatever, right? If you come to most people, you come to them with the idea, this is what I want, you know, friend, whoever, I'm thinking about this, that, and the other, what do you think? You know, a real motherfucker, honestly, is just going to support you regardless of what you say or what you do. Because this type of person who's supporting you, you know, your real friends will support you without leading you to hell in your delusions. But somebody who supports you instead of immediately comes up to you and says, choose this instead of that, or do that instead of this, or I think that you should choose my way instead of your way. Because that's usually what it comes down to, right? A real person or somebody who supports you is trying to guide you towards your intuition. Somebody else, or somebody who tries to take you away from that, somebody who tries to say that their idea of thinking or what they think is better for you or whatever is trying to influence you to live in their world, to live in their reality, to choose their idea of thinking and being or whatever instead of doing it yourself. It's really that simple, you know? And you could take it to extremes or you could take it to like a minuscule level. It's how you want to see life. But for the most part, when people are trying to quote unquote implant thoughts into your mind, or people are trying to, you know, just question you in a way that makes you question yourself, they're trying to take you away from your intuition. And you have to start to notice those people in your life and around you. These programs or these agents or whoever, whatever you want to call them, they're put here for a reason. You know, it's you testing yourself to see, do I really trust myself? Do I really feel like I know who I am? Have I started to create my own reality? Have I started to live the life that I want to live? Or am I too busy putting what somebody else thinks or feels for me, you know, over what I think and feel for myself, right? I think it's really that simple, where like we get lost in other people's worlds because we were never taught how to create our own. And that's how people end up in fucked up ass relationships for months and years on end. This is how people end up, with terrible friends, or just in places where they're like, how the fuck did I get here? And it's because at some point you lost sight of what you wanted, and honestly probably just needed for yourself. You started to believe that whoever this person is in your life is more important than you are, and you started to make them your God, unbeknownst to you. You feel me? It's all unconscious. Even the people who are questioning you and trying to take you away from your own intuition, these people are doing it unconsciously as well. They're not trying to, and like I said, it's you testing yourself. You put these people here in your life. You chose and orchestrated this game for yourself to see if you could pass it, right? So you can't really fault them, and you can't really be mad. You have to keep leveling up. You have to keep, seeing the game around you. And remember that you created it, and you know how to play it better than everybody else does. So you really can't fault anybody. You really just have to recognize this shit for what it is. And a lot of that takes knowing yourself. And once you know yourself, you'll know whether you truly love yourself or not. Once you come to accept all the fucked up things you've done in life, and once you've come to accept all the great, magnificent things you've done in life, and if you're hoping to still clear that karma or whatever that means, or just be a good fucking person, you know what I'm saying, then it'll eventually start to show, and maybe you might love yourself a little bit more. You'll know. Once you start to know yourself, once you start to take care of yourself, and you start to understand yourself, especially if you're conscious, spiritual, whatever, when you start to influence your reality, get the job you want, get the this you want, get the that you want, do whatever you want in your life, once you really start to hone in and fucking own that power, you cannot give it up. You can't give it up. You can't start to, again, put what other people believe over what you believe is best for yourself. And like I said, we were never taught that, because we were given whatever we were given on TV, on radio, through the games, through the music. We started to believe these other realities, that people created for themselves on television or throughout their life being a rapper or whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? We start to see these things, and that's what we pick and choose on how to formulate our reality and how to create the life that we want to live, instead of coming up with our own ideas. You can still take from other people's on what things that you want to see in your world, but you have to really start to use your imagination, expand your own mind past what was given to you as a child, past what your mom and dad told you to do, past what the government told you to do. You have to really start to open up your mind and start to pull from this infinite realm of everything and multi-universal shit, and start to create your own world. What do you want to see yourself become? What do you want to experience? You know what I'm saying? I don't experience certain shit. I've never broken a bone. I've never, I just, even shit that I used to experience, getting pulled over or whatever the fuck dumbass shit I used to be doing, I don't experience that shit anymore, because I've taken that shit out of my reality. I don't see that as something that happens to me just because somebody next to me said that it was going to happen to them, or let's make sure we have our seatbelts on, or let's make sure we do this, that, so we don't get in trouble. I stopped thinking that I was going to get in trouble for certain shit, and it just stopped happening. You know what I'm saying? Same if you were as a child, and over time, you growing up in your mama's house, you just going to do whatever shit you feel naturally to do, and she going to eventually learn to leave you the fuck alone. And that's just how you end up living life. You just grow out of it. You grow out of believing that this is my reality. If you're a child and you grow up and you start to see the world for what it is, you start to know oh, okay, I really can do this instead of that, even though my mom told me not to do it, whatever. You start to see more, you start to expand your mind, and you start to believe what you want to believe, and then you start to attract those experiences into your reality. You stop attracting the dumb shit. You stop attracting what somebody else said was going to happen to you or for you or whatever the fuck. That's how you create your world. You start to see what you want to see happening start to really clear your mind out of gunk and bullshit and what other people believe or whatever TV showed you, blah, 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 this and that. Once you start to clear that slate, take time away from listening to music, take time away from listening to things all the time, always having a podcast or like YouTube or something playing in the background. Take time away from that shit, because once you do that, all you have left is you and your mind. And your mind is magical, and your mind can create whatever you want to create. You can do whatever you want in this world. You really can. It's fucking simple. Like it's really easy. That's all. When you watch like Oprah and all these celebrity interviews, and they say the most cliche things, because it's really that cliche. Like it's really that simple. Like, just do whatever you want. Believe in yourself. Work hard every day. Create a routine. You know, be kind to yourself, forgive the people around you, you know, just to own up responsibilities, become an adult, start doing adult shit. Understand that you still have to live in this world, but you have to develop some type of spiritual something about you. It's going to help you see a bigger picture and start to draw that bigger picture close to you. Start to really hone in on just like the world at large. Like I'm driving on the highway and the sky looks so fucking big. Like when you really stand out in nature, I was like high as fuck one day and I was at the park and I was like really standing out there and I'm like, you know, what if God said all this was mine? You know, everything you see out in front of you driving on the highway, or like when you just out in nature on top of a mountain or some shit. What if all